What's up, fam? Welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, bringing you an episode today with none other than Mr. Cam Smith. Caught up with Cam about a week removed from his fourth place finish at the Sunapee Scramble just last week, where Cam secured himself a spot on Team USA in the Mountain Classic discipline. Super fun catching up with Cam. We talked all things Broken Arrow. We talked all things about his race at Sunapee. Cam is just a consummate professional, being able to secure himself a spot on the Team USA, as well as keep an eye fixed on the Broken Arrow VK, or I should say the Ascent now, which is happening just about a week out. So super fun to catch up with Cam, talk about the race, and talk about his plans for the rest of the summer. So without further ado, this is a great one. Always appreciate Cam for coming on and being willing to chat and talk shop. Here we go. Cam Smith. Cam Smith, welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, man?
What's up, James? Good to see you. I'm curious how you're doing.
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm getting back to running this week, which I guess it's as good as I could hope for, and slowly but surely, I'm going to figure out if I might be able to race at the end of the month. That'd be kind of nice.
Cool. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. So would you race Killington?
I'd go to Killington, which cool. I'm really, I was really excited about that course. Really excited about a Northeast race because I haven't done one yet. So, or actually, I did do one a while back, but I haven't done one properly yet. So that would have been fun. Hopefully I can pull it. I mean, I don't know. It's like one of those weird things where if I'm not where I want to be, maybe I'll just do it. Just to do it for fun, but it's also that crushingness of if you're not where you want to be, what does that do to you mentally? It's weird. So I don't know. Gotta figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you go in with the right expectations, you surprise yourself and it goes well, or it doesn't, and you're like, well, of course it doesn't. It wasn't supposed to. So yeah, exactly. Just got to go in with the right headspace.
Fair enough. Well, Cam, I'm so excited to talk to you again, buddy. Dude, it was so fun. Congratulations. You got yourself a spot in the Mountain Classic. You had an amazing race at Sunapee, which we'll get into and talk about. How does it feel, man? I know, going in, you kind of had some question marks. You're I don't really know, how this one's gonna go, but you did it. What's the excitement level?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I thought that, of course, the Ascent was my better shot, and I was well, I should at least go for the up down just in case something awesome happens. And then all kind of winter and spring, I was really doubting it, oh, do I want to take the time off and travel all the way there, and am I just going to go roll an ankle in some northeast root rock puddle and get 10th place and go home licking my wounds, or should I just focus on Broken Arrow? And yeah, I just was excited to take the shot in case I was able to make both teams. And I thought it would be so cool to race out there and just gain the experience of hammering with those guys and racing in a new area. And Tom Hooper and Paul Kirsch are awesome. And it's all right, I got to go for it. And, I mean, it worked out. It was, objectively, it was kind of surprising with how my training was going ahead of time. I did maybe about 20 minutes of fast downhill running total this year. And I was all right, I gotta get my just couple small workouts in at Sunapee. And the technical component was pretty a different flavor for me. And I was just stoked that it worked out, but I'm not totally letting off the gas yet, because I want to stay really focused through Broken Arrow to try to make that Ascent team. And then when the dust settles there, whether I'm on the Ascent or not, then I'll be able to kind of be stoked about it. Because then we'll know some of the other teammates and stuff too, and we can start to get psyched as a team. So I guess the short answer is I'm super stoked, but trying to stay locked in for another week and a half.
Dude, I love that mindset. I feel like it helps you too, because with the amount and the level of racing that you do on the Schemo side, because there's so many races, it's easy to forget one and go to the next one. Whereas if you have a really, really good race, I would imagine it's probably easy for you to, put that one on the shelf, next, locked into Broken Arrow, and you're able to move on to that. Whereas I wonder if a lot of people have a hard time with that. If you're riding a high from Sunapee, if you will, to be able to go to the next one and have that level of enthusiasm that you had for the previous one. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's an element of it there of kind of practicing flushing races and moving on and not getting too high or too low. And then there's an element too that I was on my run this morning, kind of thinking about Broken Arrow and thinking about how I'm going to handle next week. And the thought occurred to me like, yeah, this is one of the biggest races of the year. And I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that because I've had like 12 biggest races of the year so far. So yeah, kind of living in that pressure cooker this winter. Um, I thought it was fun. Like I like that intensity and pressure and yeah, it's happening every week and multiple times a week. And yeah, it's just it's a place I like to be. So yeah, I'm happy to be in between these big races right now.
To text you, to quote one of your text messages you sent, you're like, "It's what we do," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I love that." It's
Right.
dude, it is it's what we do, man. I love to hear that. I gotta ask you. Let's go into the race. I gotta ask you about this. Like you were open. You're like the card I gotta play is my climbing, and your climbing was spot on, dude. Like it was really impressive to see you in the race, in the mix from the very beginning on the climbs. Like it didn't really look like you faded back at all. You stayed locked in. Did you hit any low points? I mean, it seemed like from what I could see, like commentating it on the live stream, like you were in the mix the entire time.
Yeah, yeah, not really. I mean, like that really steep bit at the beginning of the first climb I thought was going to suit me so well because it was so much like steeper and harder. And I was having a hard time moving into that like top few positions. And so there's a couple minutes there like, man, if I can't get towards the front now, like when am I? But I was just patient a little bit and I kind of felt the pace lag once we hit the road, and then I was able to start pushing it from there. And really what that kind of came from is like in a schema race, for example, like if we have a like the 90-minute individual format and say that parts of it are on a south facing slope, like a sunny slope, and it's really like hard frozen snow. And then parts of it, like then you dip over a ridge and say you're on like a cold, high northeast facing slope, and the snow's really soft and the track's really deep, and yeah, there like hasn't been as much traffic on it. Then you sort of strategize around trying to push really hard where you're able to put the power down. And then when you get to that like softer, slower moving, maybe it's flat, maybe it's really technical, maybe there's tons and tons of switchbacks. And so we're like breaking our momentum every 10 or 12 strides. It doesn't matter how good you feel on that, right? Like whether you have energy or not, it's just how good technically you are at moving through that terrain. Because if you have the power to push, there's nowhere to put it because you have to, yeah, change directions every few steps and the snow's soft and whatever. And so I sort of thought about it like that. I was like, that last half of the second climb is pretty nasty. Like it was full of puddles. You guys saw it on the live stream a bit. It was like steep, rooty, rocky. And so like on those kind of steeper uphills, you could push a little bit if you had it. But we're just like running straight through puddles and trying not to like slip off the hunk of granite that we're on. It doesn't matter whether you feel good or not. And so that's why I sort of felt confident like pushing it earlier than I would have normally. And then same thing, like coming off the top of the descent, like it was so slick through those glades, and then you could really push it once you got onto the ski run and onto the road. But I didn't want to like I was okay with kind of going for broke, knowing that like those technical bits would be a bit of an equalizer. And then I was just gonna push hard on those climbs, then push hard on the road bit of the descent. And I think that helped me a lot. And as far as like low points, not really. Like I sort of got myself into the race and then it was just competing from there. Like the first downhill, um, I was holding back a little bit just because I knew what we were about to face, like heading up the beginning of the second loop. And so I lost some positions there, but I felt super in control. And then it kind of all came back together, like just as I was hoping. And I didn't have much wiggle room to play with. Andy was breathing down my neck. It's not like I was just on autopilot and it was all easy. Like it was,
It
yeah,
was
super hard
close.
race and competitive and super close. But yeah, that's how it played out from my perspective.
Did you have any close battles with anyone? Like, were you battling with Andy or battling with Remy or any of them? And kind of like, or I guess Dan kind of fell back to six. So was he kind of in the mix with you, like further back there?
Yeah, he was, and a few others. So like I was kind of testing everyone on that climb, and then Tyler and Mason wouldn't drop off. And like I everyone of course still had, it's not like any of us were racing all out. And then let's see. So Andy passed me on that descent, Taylor and Dan all did. And then I got Andy back before we got to the trail, and then Dan as we were getting onto the trail uphill on the second climb. Taylor and Mason, I didn't catch again, but I could see them both in the trees. And if you could see them in the trees, that means like we're 5 seconds apart.
Yeah, it's close.
For a while. Like, it was so dense in there. And so I was like, okay, like if I can keep hustling, I was in third at that point. Like I'd love to be in second or love to be in first just to have the wiggle room. And I could like see him, I'd lose him, I would see him, I could lose him. And then all of a sudden David came by and like, what just happened? And then he was moving at a different pace. So yeah, then I didn't quite see anyone again after that. And yeah, then Andy was closing in on me, and then I couldn't quite see those front three. So yeah, there was some good back and forth for sure.
That's crazy. Did David surprise? David was not a surprise to I think anybody in the know, like, but I think to a lot of the people on the outside, I think David surprised a lot of people, and I was like, that's David Norris. Like that's not a surprise, right? By any
For sure, yeah.
Were you surprised by anybody or anything? Like anything took you like was anything surprising to you, or did you feel like pretty like nothing was different?
No, I mean, like there's not a lot of guys in that mix that I like count out, right? Like I think you're kind of a good example of like anytime a name comes up or like anytime you have a guest on, you're just like hyping up the strengths that they have, and I kind of feel that way. Like you can't really like assume like, oh well, like let's pick on David. Like, oh well, David's more of a Nordic skier and he doesn't do that many of these races, so I totally got him. Like, well, obviously not. Like he can show up on his day and do what he did, and like you can't sit there and say like, oh well, Mason's a sub 30-minute 10K, so maybe I got him on the technical bits. Like, no, obviously not. Like he was crushing those two. So like you can't go around doubting people. Like that's not good for you. That's not good for them. Like yeah, I wasn't really surprised by anyone that threw down those awesome performances. Yeah.
It was amazing. I have to be honest with you, Cam, like it was so special to get that share that moment with you guys at the end, like when we did some of those interviews and just like chatting with you. Like the elatement, just the excitement, like the level. Like I gotta be honest, I was just telling Danny Marino this because we were chatting and I was like, it made me fall back in love with the sport all over again because it's just like that pure excitement level to watch you guys just accomplish something so cool and then to talk about it after, like within minutes of finishing. It was special. It was very cool to share that moment with you guys. So
awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you felt that way. It was a fun place to be, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the guys that were on the wrong side of the bubble giving it their best at a Broken Arrow or going for 40Ks or whatever. So yeah, it was a big celebration for some of us, and then I think it's going to be a big fire for a lot of others. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out next week.
For sure. On the topic of Broken Arrow, before we let you go, like, what's the like you have a rare and unique opportunity here, dude. Like I think like I mean, this is just my perspective of like analyzing and understanding you and understanding the sport. Like the VK is your jam. Like that's not something you do bad at. That's like yeah. I would have guessed that you would have had a higher probability of making the VK team than the Mountain Classic team. You go out and you make the Mountain Classic team. Obviously, you're on a crazy level right now. Like to go make that team. Like what would that mean to you? I already asked you this question kind of, but has that changed at all to be able to go make both teams and like go get this rare air? Because not too many people have this opportunity or in that type of rarefied air to make both teams.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to it, right? Like, I think I can be a really good VK runner, and of course, I've run like hot, cold a little bit. I had bad days, like Broken Arrow last year. I think I was ninth. But yeah, just like with missing so much time, like my highest level's still high, and then my peaks or my valleys are a little bit lower than they used to be, just with all the like training that I missed. And like yeah, Pikes Peak Ascent, for example, I've never put it together at, but then I've had somewhere I like totally have popped off good ones, like Broken Arrow a few years before that, or like the Rut last year. Like I think what I'm getting at is like when I'm running hot in the VK, I think that's what I can really like do something in at the world level. Like I for sure am motivated to help the team as much as possible in the up down. And I think like we can chase a medal and chase a result as a group, but like I'm not going to be on the podium. I don't think. Like the ascent, like I wouldn't really like limit myself in what I can dream of on the best day, right? So like that's part of the motivation is I want to do the events and like be prepared. However, I can just like help the team once we actually get to Spain the most. And so yeah, that's what's keeping me really focused on the ascent. And like yeah, sure it's nice that like from one perspective you're playing with house money and oh you've already made it, so just like go for broke. Like people won't really be marking you, whatever. But like that's not what usually sets me up the race the best. Like I want the pressure. Like I want the um yeah, the like I want it to be a need to like go fight for that team, and then we'll see how the dust settles after that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good situation to be able to race both too. Like with the in Spain, the VK's on a Thursday, and it's just uphill, of course, and then the classics on a Sunday. So I think that's actually a perfect setup to be able to race both really well.
Yeah.
Like in the past, some like coaches and managers on the team have like wanted people to just focus on one event, which makes a ton of sense. I think this is a great chance to race both, just with the way the schedule shakes out. And that doesn't necessarily mean I for sure will. Like again, we'll see. Like depending on what happens, maybe the team looks stronger one way or the other, or like for example, like training to race downhill fast doesn't translate to skimo much, and late September is getting pretty close to like our key World Cups. But running flat does, like being fast on a track, and running uphill does, of course. So like potentially I would, yeah, want to just be focused on the ascents, that I'm set up better for like December World Cups. But on the other hand, like racing both and getting the experience of both and like more of that like speed components, really good for my development too. So I'm rambling a bit, but like I'm trying to focus on it as if it's the only thing. And I really want to be there because I think there's a chance I could have a really good race in Spain. So I got to qualify first if I'm going to chase that.
I like it, man. I like it. Well, dude, I don't want to take up all your afternoon. I am wishing you the absolute best of luck next week at Broken Arrow. It is going to be so fun to follow your race. Cheering for you every step of the way, Cam. You're one of your biggest fans, dude. So I hope you have a wonderful race and safe travels out there, and we'll be in touch, man.
Cool. Thanks, James. You're the man. And whatever happens, I think we're going to have 4 really fast men and women qualified
Absolutely.
for that team. So it's exciting. No matter how it shakes out, it's going to be good for the team.
It's going to be amazing to follow. Appreciate it, Cam.
Cool.
Listen up, guys. The Steep Stuff podcast is brought to you by Ultimate Direction USA. Guys, I am so excited. UD just dropped their new Race Vest 6-liter and Ultra Vest 12-liter in 2 beautiful aesthetic colors. You guys got to check these new vests out. They're dynamic in ways like that you just have never seen from an Ultimate Direction vest. Very stretchy, lots of storage, beautiful aesthetic colorways coming to you in a new, like a white and blue and an onyx and green. Just absolutely beautiful vests. I think these ones are just like some of the best products we've ever dropped, and I'm so excited for you guys to try them out. Hop on ultimatedirection.com and use code SteepStuffPod. Again, that's SteepStuffPod for 25% off your new vest. I mean, they're already affordably priced, but 25% off is just going to make it so much more affordable for folks in an already increasingly expensive trail running environment. So hop on ultimatedirection.com, get yourself a new vest, a pack, or any hydration solution, and let me know what you guys think.